Some countries are born quietly. South Sudan was not. It was carved out of decades of war, heartbreak, and hope. The world called it the newest nation, but on the ground, people knew. Being new didn't mean being ready. The war ended, the flag was raised, but the ground beneath people's feet remained the same. There were barely any roads. No arteries to connect markets, hospitals, homes. Just bush paths, dry tracks that turned to rivers when the rains came. In fact, for years, there were fewer than 200 kilometers of paved road in the entire country. That's less than the distance between Juba and Rumbek. South Sudan is large, bigger than both Kenya and Uganda combined. But only about 12 million people live across that wild space. And without good roads, distance becomes a barrier to everything. People lived isolated lives, even just hours apart. A grandmother in a whale might not see her daughter in Wow for years. A boy who dreamed of school in Rumbek would never make it past the flooded marshlands. A trader with a cart of grain could only hope it would not rot before reaching the market. For farmers, it was worse. Floods wiped out harvests, and with no roads to escape or store their goods, they lost not just crops, they lost income. Some had to walk for days with sacks on their back, only to reach markets already full or already closed. The Nile winds through South Sudan, but most sections can't be used for transport. There are no ports. Large parts of the river are blocked by hyacinth, and most parts simply unnavigable. Flights exist, but most will never afford them. So, people walk, or they wait, or they simply stop trying. Entire villages became islands when the rains came. Schools closed, food ran out, and help could not get in. For many, rain didn't bring relief. It brought isolation. And yet, South Sudan's people endured, waiting, hoping, working with what they had. For years, the promise of peace was not matched by movement, but something has shifted. A hum in the distance, the growl of machines, the outline of something firm and real and long overdue. A road, not for cars, but for progress. Not just for trade, but for trust. South Sudan is no longer standing still. It is finally beginning to move. From the south in Terekeka, just north of Juba, the road now pushes west, like a spine slowly forming across the land. It cuts across forests, wetlands, and floodplains, passing through places once reachable only by foot. But this isn't the only corridor. This is just one arm of a national road system that now stretches both east and west across South Sudan. To the east, the Juba-Bor corridor runs through central Equatoria and Jonglei state. The road has now extended beyond Bor town, pushing onward to Malakal and eventually Renk, near the northern border with Sudan. The full stretch from Juba to Renk spans 894 kilometers, from Juba to Malakal covering 587 kilometers. So far, 200 kilometers from Juba to Bor have already been fully tarmacked, transforming what was once a muddy, impassable route into a permanent artery of connection. Beyond Bor, an additional 180 kilometers has been bush cleared, opening the path toward the Upper Nile. This eastern corridor connects South Sudan capital to the northeast, while the Bor El Gaza corridor stretches west, and together they form the road network linking communities across South Sudan. The numbers themselves tell a story. Terekeka to Muriel, 50 kilometers, fully paved, smooth tarmac now runs where only marsh and bush once stood. Akan to Gogrial, a 61-kilometer stretch, now 30 kilometers tarmac, 20 kilometers stone base, and 11 kilometers sub-base. The rest of the route, it's on its way. Most of it now sits at sub-grade level 2, pressed and prepped, waiting for layers to rise. This is not a single village road. This is the beginning of a national network. So far, the Bar Gaza corridor touches at least 6 states: Central Equatoria, Lakes, Warrap, Western Bar Gaza, Northern Bar Gaza, and Unity State, and connects at least 24 counties across 5 of these states. The road flows through towns and counties like Terekeka, Urol, Wau, Gogrial, Akan, Wanjok, Malik, Arroyo, Bonagog, and many smaller villages in between. Where once there were only dirt paths, there is now a highway of possibility. A trader who once took 2 weeks to reach the market in Wau now makes it in a single day. I work on the Wau-Kijok-Gogrial road. Previously, the road was very damaged, so we used to travel from Wau to Kojok, which took us a whole day. Now it only takes us 45 minutes to get there. A driver since 2012 on the Juba to Bentui road. I used to travel all states. In previous years, people suffered greatly due to the road, and there was an extreme fatigue to reach the States. Now people arrive in a whale the next day. Previously, they used to use air travel a lot, which was expensive at the same time, but now they travel a lot by land. Our problem now is the bridges and culverts. We hope that the project will be completed as soon as possible. But it's not just the movement of people. Now, fuel trucks can actually reach remote towns. Construction materials move without loss. Children can walk or ride to schools in nearby towns. And families separated for years by mud, floods, and distance begin to reconnect. Where the road stretches, hope follows close behind. And for many, this is the first time that the outside world is no longer out of reach. South Sudan's landscape might look open and flat, but building roads here is far from easy. The soil beneath your feet is soft, sometimes almost liquid. Clay expands and shrinks with every rain and heat wave, and water lingers on long after the skies are clear. In villages like Mariabai, Majakarkai, and Nayang, entire communities would be submerged during the rainy season. Children paddled where roads should be. Pregnant mothers waited for the floods to pass just to reach the nearest clinic. It could take days and sometimes weeks. That's why this road is not simply being laid, it's being raised. The most flood-prone areas, embankments climb up to 6 meters above the ground, tall enough to withstand even the worst seasonal flooding. Layer by layer, the ground is stabilized, lifted and compacted until it holds. But elevation isn't enough. Water needs a way out. Drainage tunnels line both sides of the road. Broad, sloped, calculated to move runoff efficiently. Beneath the surface, culverts are huge reinforced concrete tubes that allow rivers, streams, and flash floods to pass through without damaging the roadbed. This kind of road must breathe, must think ahead, it must survive. The road is 14 meters wide in each lane, with an extra 1.5 meters of shoulder on each side, enough for broken down trucks, for sudden stops, for safety. And these aren't just drawings on paper. They are backed by science and tested again and again in the field. There are 4 fully equipped labs along this stretch of road in Terekeka, Ural, Wau, and Aiken. These are not temporary tents or quick setups. They are full-scale, on-site, quality control centers, staffed daily by trained engineers, technicians, and data recorders.
The mold for compaction, which is here, we do MDD using rammer here. After compacting the material, we dry it, we weigh it, we put it again into the oven to dry the moisture. After drying, then we calculate the percentage moisture content, and then we get to our maximum dry density of the material before we use it for using it in the field for calculating our MDD. Concrete mold. This one, it is usually used when the concrete is prepared or casted in the field or from the concrete plant. We always take these samples using this mold. We fill it. After removing it, maybe the following day, we put it back. We soak it in the water for 3 days or 7 days and 28 days. It depends how it has been designed. Then after we crush it to get the compressive strength of the sample which we have taken.
In each lab, the process is exact. Soil classification. Is the foundation strong enough to hold? Moisture content. Too wet and the layer won't hold weight. Too dry and it won't bond. Compaction testing. Using nuclear density gauges and plate load tests to see if the ground will carry the future weight of trucks, tankers, and traffic. Aggregate grading. Is the stone the right size? Too coarse and it cracks. Too fine and it shifts. Asphalt calibration. Mixed on site, heated to exact temperatures, with every batch logged and tracked. If a layer fails, it is removed and redone. No compromise, no shortcut. Even if it costs time, even if it means reworking kilometers of laid material, the road has to hold, not for a season, but for decades. In total, the Bile corridor has seen the deployment of 4 crushers, each capable of processing 500 to 1,000 tons of stone per hour, depending on the size.
Right now we are here at the Arroyo crusher. Actually we have 2, but we had With this crusher is under AMH, under the management of AMH, and it is producing so far. Without this crusher, it would have been so difficult right now, because it is only crusher that is functioning here, and it is not only functioning, but it is producing enough stock. Right now, the current stock that we have is ranging from 150 to almost 200 metric cube. And the sizes here, we are talking of 1 inch. We are talking of 3 by 8. We are talking of 3 by 4. We are talking of stone dust, which is readily available here. Stone base, we can use it for our base course. 3 by 8, 3 by 4, we use it for our asphalt production, and also for our culvert production as well. In terms of production per hour, is around 500 tons per hour. Per day, we are talking about 2,000 metric cube per day. That is the daily production of the material that we need. And this material, the supply route for this material, now mainly we take it to Akon for our asphalt work, and also to KM3 in Wanjuk for culvert work. And it is not going to be only in that area. It is going to supply up to almost up to Meram. This side of Wanjuk, you proceed to Warawar, you proceed to Meram. It is going to supply that one. We shall be also supplying from Awil to Wedwil to Nyamlel, which is one of our road network also. And then from Nyamlel, it is going to proceed to Raja as well. From Arroyo here also, it is going to proceed to Raja. Same also, a different road network called Awil, Arroyo, Awada Highway up to Jamzurel.
5 asphalt plants mixing and heating road grade material daily, producing 350 to 400 tons per hour. 4 culvert factories fabricating up to 50 culvert units per day.
I'm a culvert supervisor, factory number 2, Korea. The number of workers is at 5. What we are doing now, producing in this culvert for one day, sometimes we produce the 40, another day is all we are tired, we produce the 30. Yeah, we are taking to Gorial, toward which is Western Bargazal.
There are also 11 active campsites stationed strategically: Terekeka, Urol, Wau, Gogrial, Akan, Trisite, Wanjok, Malik, Arroyo, and Bonagog. Depending on the production phase, machines are retooled to break down rock into exactly what's needed for that stretch of road. This kind of transformation doesn't happen without massive coordination. In the Bahr Ghazal region alone, this project has seen the deployment of 650 heavy-duty trucks, 30 water boozers and fuel tankers, 30 excavators, 30 graders, and 55 rollers. Every asset has a role. Every camp runs to a schedule. The logistics are deliberate, large-scale, and designed for terrain that doesn't forgive mistakes. Every day, hundreds of workers wake up before dawn. They move stone, lay base, pour asphalt, test, wait, and retest. Some walk for miles just to earn a day's wage. All of them endure the searing sun and thick mud, and while the road is technical, it is also deeply human. To build here is to listen, not just excavate. Every kilometer had to be negotiated with the communities. Chiefs and elders gathered beneath the trees. Land is personal here. It holds memories, livelihoods, identity. So you don't just bring a machine. You bring time, patience, listening. It took weeks of dialogue. Questions were asked. Where will it pass? What happens to the farmland? Will our sons get jobs? Not all of it is easy, but all of it is necessary. The Bahr Ghazal Road is being built through South Sudan's own resources. From its land, its minerals, its ambition. In the early days of construction, the heavy work came in from outside. Specialists, surveyors, operators from other countries, because the skills didn't just exist here yet. But that began to change. With every section cleared, compacted and paved, something else was being built as well: capacity. Across the 11 camps along the Balgazar Road from Terekeka to Bonagog, young South Sudanese men and women were hired, not just to dig trenches or carry gravel, but to learn. They became welders, they became steel fixers. Some started by pushing wheelbarrows, now they operate graders, pavers and cranes. The project has employed over 15,000 South Sudanese workers, including machine operators, site engineers, technicians, drivers and support teams. Of these, over 10,000 are directly involved in the road construction works, including highwaymen and heavy machinery crews. An additional 3,000 are employed across the agriculture sector and the flour factory, which have been activated and supported by improved road access. The remaining workforce includes security personnel, logistics coordinators, and camp support staff. It wasn't easy. Training locals takes more time. It requires patience, translation, trial and error, but it works. And more importantly, it stays. Every skilled worker means more than just one job. It means a family supported, children sent to school, money saved, and meals improved. These aren't temporary gains. This road is building careers that did not exist 5 years ago. Some of the young men trained here are now being considered for future roles in upcoming roads. They are not just part of the workforce. They are the future force behind South Sudan's infrastructure. And that matters, because when locals are trained, hired and trusted, the road doesn't just pass by the community. It becomes a part of it. And long after the last coat of asphalt is laid, the knowledge remains. In South Sudan, the price of movement has always been high. A bag of cement, when it could be found, was triple the cost you'd pay across the border. A litre of petrol could cost over 600 South Sudanese pounds in towns like Awil. And for many families, the question wasn't, can I afford transport? It was, can I survive without it? Because when roads vanish, prices rise. When trucks can't reach you, goods don't just arrive late. They don't arrive at all. But that's starting to change. Petrol prices in Wonjok have seen a significant drop since road access began, contributing to a broader decline in the price of essential goods. Transporting a sack of maize from Akin to Wonjok now takes hours instead of days. At supply depots in Wonjok, you hear the same question again and again. How far has the road reached? Not from engineers, but from traders, and from aid coordinators, from drivers who have spent years stuck in mud. I'm a driver in the Juba to State Road. We are now very happy with what has happened on the road. Previously, we and the traders suffered greatly, especially in delivering goods. Now, everything has become easy. Within a day, you can reach Awil. We hope that work continues at the same speed and in the same manner until development is complete throughout the country. I have been a driver since 2014. The start was from Korea, which took 3 days, and the car was driving in a diagonal direction. Then we would check the car, then we moved to Bonagog in 2 days, then to Ural, which took us 1 day, then to Rumbek, which took 2 days, because of the Fashroom area was very muddy. Then we would spend the night in Rumbek, and then move in the morning until we reached Shubet, which took another 4 hours. Then we went to Bargid Beach, and then to Rul Shakon. This area was very difficult. Once the car fell there, because there was mud, then we went to Tonj for a day, so I had the car serviced in Tonj. Then we went to Wau, which took a day, then to Kojok, which took a day. The period used to be about 10 days for me to reach Kojok. But now, you can reach Kojok in 1 day. In Akan, elders are in early talks about setting aside space for future markets. In Gogrial, grain buyers have started tracking road updates as closely as weather forecasts. In Muriel, where the asphalt now holds, trucks are pulling in where silence used to stretch for days. No formal markets have sprung up yet. But the signs of economic life often arrive quietly, in questions, in planning, in possibility, because an economy isn't built overnight. It's not just dropped from above. It begins when people believe the road will stay. A road doesn't just move people, it moves possibilities. And in South Sudan, possibility matters. Tonj, Awil, Gogriel, these are the places rich in cattle, sorghum, maize, and untapped minerals. But for years, reaching buyers meant waiting for dry weather or giving up entirely. Without roads, a harvest is just a risk. A herd is just a burden, and a mine just a dream. But now, roads are changing that logic. In cattle-rich corridors of northern and western Balgazar, local leaders are beginning to speak of reaching regional markets, of reducing cattle losses during long treks, of getting their beef, some of the highest quality in East Africa, to commercial buyers. And in the mineral belts near Wau and Arbil, where South Sudan holds reserves of gold, limestone and other resources, access is no longer an impossible expense. Heavy machinery doesn't have to be flown in. Transport costs are coming down. The ground may not be dug yet, but interest is rising. Agriculture is also starting to stir. While most rural farmers still plant only what they can carry to market, larger agricultural players are starting to see the opportunity. One local initiative, Eden Agri, is working to develop farming systems in South Sudan that are scalable, local and sustainable. And the road, it's what makes the scale possible. Not today, not yet, but soon. Because if a bag of grain can reach the market before it spoils, that's the start of a supply chain. If cattle reaches buyers before they lose weight, that's a shift in value. Roads like this one are more than just logistics. They are a signal that there is a country where things can move, where businesses can plan, where local industries, agriculture, livestock, mining can finally look outward. And all of it funded not by foreign loans, but by South Sudan's own resources. A country using what it has to build what it needs. A road doesn't change everything, but it changes what's possible. It shortens the time between a harvest and a market, between a mother's worry and a doctor's care, between a child's dream and a school that might one day be built. And here, possibility means everything. This road, the one pushing from Terekeka to Awale, is more than just a route. It's a spine, a structure, a signal. This corridor alone stretches 750 kilometers, but it's part of something bigger. Over 3,000 kilometers of national roads are now underway across South Sudan. From Bor in the east, through Juba in the center, and now Balgazar in the north and west. A national network is forming. What was once seasonally cut off is now meter by meter reconnecting. Already, some sections are done. Terekeka to Muriel, fully paved. Akin to Gogrel, pushing forward. Tarmac, stone base, sub base, taking shape. In camps across the stretch, from Ural to Bonagog, South Sudanese engineers, drivers, cooks, welders, and machine operators are showing them what national ownership looks like. This is not just about roadworks. It's about the belief that tomorrow can look differently than today. It's about being able to move and to matter. The road will enable hospitals to be built, schools to be supplied, markets to emerge where before there was only bush. And this is just one artery in a growing network. A country once defined by stillness is laying down the path to movement. This is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of movement, of connection, of South Sudan's next chapter. South Sudan remains committed to self-development and invites citizens and friends to witness its progress firsthand.